artists have said before that the brushes you use when making digital art do not matter, meaning the brushes do not change the quality of your work. In fact, I was watching an artist one time, can't remember the name, and someone asked about their brushes, or they were referring to a time someone asked about their brushes, and they said they didn't really find that it mattered because they thought that it wouldn't change the quality of the person's work. I've always disagreed with that sentiment. Not because brushes are automatically going to make you a good artist, but because I never thought anybody was asking for that reason. As someone who always wants to know what brushes others are using, I just want to know because I want to see if I can replicate the same rendering style or line art style in my own works, like getting a similar effect in order to feel like I'm closer to getting my art to look the way I wanted. I don't think that having a different brush will automatically make me know how to draw hands, but it can make the journey a lot more comfortable. In fact, when I'm using a new program, I try to find brushes that replicate my experience traditionally or in another program that I'm more familiar with. So I do find brushes very important to your process. And in fact, today I'm going to be testing that. The theory I have out that like brushes you like better or brushes you're more comfortable with are gonna make better pieces because you're just feeling better about your art throughout the whole thing. And so I've prepped a sketch because sketching brushes do help with comfortability, but ultimately I think it's going to be up to line art and coloring on this one to show the different effects you can get and just about how you're going to feel yourself. And there are also a lot of I made a piece with one brush challenge because you do not need a lot of brushes. It's true. You can make great stuff without that. But there's also some cool effects you can get, and you should also support creators who make brushes if you can afford it as a way to supplement their income. And in fact, I have a brush pack of my own, shameless self-promo, except I'm a little shamed that I couldn't say shameless self-promo properly. Okay, let's get into it. Before we get into it, I just want to give a bit of a disclaimer that my opinions about the artist regarding their opinions about brushes, there's no hate towards them, no nothing. I follow a lot of the people who have said this. It's just me presenting a different perspective, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get into it for real now. I started off with these micron brushes I found on Gumroad and these alcohol markers I found on Gumroad. I'll put the links in the description for all the brushes used in this video if possible. So for this challenge, I wanted to include people, an object, and a background. So I have in this case, I have the chair, the volleyball, and the blanket. And then the background is like the sun and the sand, and then the two people included in the piece are Fitz and Lee, my OCs. There's so much stuff that happened. I was supposed to finish this piece way before I did it, but I ended up doing it all last night. And after I came from the beach, and then I'm recording this morning. It should already be out, but I chose the storyline, I think, is they just did some beach volleyball or they just won a competition and now they're taking a photo. And the brushes I chose for this piece were based off of the fact that they have texture and coloring is with the coloring involved has a different opacity. It's not a completely solid brush, so if you go over it a few times the color gets darker or more opaque. And the line art brush is one without any pressure, or line weight, so it stays the same the whole entire time. After struggling through the poses, I began the line art process with the micron, making sure to add extra weight where I needed it, but trying not to add too much so that it differed from the other piece. I'm also making sure that I am doing the same thing from both pieces, actually. I didn't want them to be completely different so that that affected how it looked. I wanted it to more be about, even if I did the same process with 2 different brushes, they would still come out in a different way. I made sure to add Fitz's fangs, vampire and all, and I felt very comfortable using the line art. It wasn't something that felt difficult for me. I've used brushes without pen pressure before, so I wasn't struggling with that. But when it came to the coloring, that was something I found pretty difficult. I decided to go over 2 times with everything, but there's still patchiness here and there, and it felt like a real mimic of real life. So if I wanted to go over with anything lighter, I would have to use a new layer. I also remembered to add lighting to give more into the mood, and I just felt like I wasn't liking it until I saw the end results. Then I felt like this is something I enjoy. So this is the final piece. What moods do you guys get from it? Does this look different from my other work? And now let's show the brushes that I've gotten from the other piece. I use a creator's brush. I will also link that in the description, and then the regular round brush from Procreate. This should be in any program that you use, actually. A round brush without pressure or opacity changing. The line art was much harder on this one for me. I struggled a lot, but in the end I really liked it. I found I had to use a lot bigger strokes rather than big swoopy strokes, not disconnected, rather than the ones I like to take my time with in order for the line art to look smoother. I think this gave a much more crunchy feel. I'm really realizing now I kind of want to outline them. I had a problem with the chair and the colors. I felt as though it was a little bit harder to render this time around. And yeah, I still have to figure out how I want chairs to look and everything. I don't think I want any line art, to be honest. And the shading I did here was minimal again, but I felt as though this just looked way more digital. I didn't have the problem with thinking, oh, this doesn't look that good, because this is what I normally do my art like. But I think in the end, I do like both pieces. This is way closer to what my art would normally look like, and this is the final piece. So we're going to compare them side by side. Tell me if you think there's any differences or anything, or it's the same and my point is pointless. While I like both pieces, I do prefer the one on the left because it's more aligned with what I want my art to look like, but I do prefer the line art on the right because it has that weight that I prefer, that I struggled to get with the other brush. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.